I say how you feel, you say fired up. When I say how you feel, you say good. How you feel?
Fired up.
How you feel?
Good.
How you feel?
Fired up.
How you feel?
Good.
The reason I feel good because we got two of our dogs back. Cam and what my dog get bit? What that bit? What that Rolls Royce? We got our dogs back. And you know the attitude that they bring back to the defense. So offense, I want you to match that today. Birthday boy today, Chips from Puncharella. Where you at, Puncharella? Puncharella. Take over so they can see what you smell like. Chips from Puncharella.
Yeah.
Let's go. How you feel, Jake?
Feeling good.
No, you're supposed to say fired up.
Oh, shit, sorry. Fired up.
How you feel?
Fired up.
And then again, how you feel?
Good.
There we go. Couple of, third time's a charm.
No. Coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, it's DNVR Buffs Prime Time. Shout out to Toyota. Yeah, it's time, man. And we're getting the dogs back, as Coach Prem said.
Oh, let's go, baby. Mm-hmm. I was concerned that we weren't going to get Cam back just the other day when Coach Prime said he should be cleared to practice tomorrow when we talked to him. And I was just like, should isn't helping me sleep at night. Mm-hmm. But now he is back. He's out there. He was at practice today. And it's huge because – look, you go through a whole offseason practicing a certain way, and then the third play into the game, that all changes. You're just like, there's no way to be mentally ready for that.
Yeah.
And as much as you tell every player, hey, any moment could be your moment, your time is going to come, be prepared. When you're telling the defense, hey, at some point, you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to work with someone else. So let's switch it up. And Coach Prime actually does things like that, where he'll just run out there at practice and say, Cam's out. Who's in? And throws that stuff out. So they practice for that. Does not matter. When you are not expecting to play and then you've got to come in there on the first drive, it's a lot of adversity to overcome. And I thought Savion Riley went in there and did a pretty darn good job. But it's not the same. And that's just talking from a football perspective.
Yep.
That completely leaves out, to me, the most important part, which is the leadership perspective and the dog perspective.
Yep.
Cam Silmon-Craig is one of those guys who brings an edge to your defense, who brings an identity to your defense, who brings a mentality that every defense in America needs, no matter what level you're at. So getting him back is absolutely massive for me and should be a boon to Colorado's defense.
Definitely, man. You nailed it. He had an L on his chest. He's a leader on this team, a leader of the defense. To lose that, in the third play of the game, I mean, you've seen other teams, where players like that go down and they're just searching for answers constantly. They can't replace that. So shout out to Savion Riley for coming in, definitely, and kind of helping soften that blow. But it's massive getting Cam back. This is the game last year where he really put his stamp, like, I need to be on the field. Like, I am a player for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. It's kind of similar to last year because Cam didn't get to play
exactly
against TCU, and then he came out there and made a difference literally on the first drive against Nebraska. I think it was a 3-and-out, and Cam had tackles or he was involved in 2 of the 3 plays off the start. So the dude is just a guy, man. He's just one of those players that you love having out there for you, and Colorado's going to need him this weekend.
Yep. I mean, the play he got hurt even then, man, he is coming downfield like a missile.
Yeah.
Like, that is going to be massive for this game because we know what Nebraska is going to try and do in terms of controlling the clock and, what Raiola is going to try and do. So just having him back on the field for both the run and the pass game is going to be huge for this team. And as you mentioned, the leadership stuff is you can't even quantify, like, the value of that stuff and having Kam back on the field. We've actually got a video of Kam at practice today, just getting suited up.
And I thought Big Teasy asked an interesting question. He said, do you think Kam will be less aggressive? Absolutely not.
No chance. No chance.
Absolutely not. One of the things that makes Kam so special is that he has one speed and one speed only. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that you hear stories about, like coaches getting on in a walkthrough because they're like, hey, this is a walkthrough.
Right.
Like, please slow down.
Yep.
and he's just built a certain way. He's just cut from a certain cloth. That means, like, when I step between the lines, I don't know any other way than just to go out here and be a dog. And so, no, he will not be any less aggressive. He will be out there trying to, lay the hit stick, trying to make big plays, jumping up and down, yelling, just being Kam.
Yep. Shout out Neely for that video and for the intro video as well. But it's crucial, man. It's going to be it's just great that he, obviously you don't want him to miss time last week, but just getting him back, I'd imagine there's a pep in the defensive step and Kam's step too coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And again, this is the game where he kind of put his stamp on this team last year. So, yes, is that enough Kam talk? Are we breaking the rule?
I forgot about the rule. Just got so excited about my guy there that I forgot. Robert Morris, great point. Stop talking about Kam. No, last thing I'll say is just we've talked so much about his mentality already in this segment, but you need these guys in rivalry games even more than other games.
Yep.
Because they bring your edge to the field.
Mm-hmm. And then talking to Neely today, just at practice and stuff, it sounds like Big Anquin Barnes is also back. So some trench reinforcements and the biggest body we have on the defensive line, which is going to be huge. You saw Nebraska was running the ball last week. So reinforcements in the trenches and in the back end of the defense.
Absolutely. Can I talk about something?
Please go for it.
Great. I tweeted this out today, and I have once again upset the people of Nebraska. But this is just facts, man. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago on the show, but even their reaction to this post underlines what my point was for the first time in my life, and a couple people pointed out a couple times that were before my life, and so I can't speak on those necessarily. But for the first time in my life, Nebraska fans hate Colorado more than Colorado fans hate Nebraska.
Yes, they do.
And my God, is that just a beautiful thing. And honestly, I don't think it's just the fans, and I think this will segue nicely into one of the quotes that you heard today up in Boulder. I think the players, there's been a shift within the players too. We talked about it, I think, after Coach Prime spoke, which is like, hey, when these guys got here, everyone was like, hey, just so you know, like, you got to hate Nebraska.
Right.
And so, like, everyone kind of leaned into it last year, and obviously those parts of it still exist. But even just like the little comments coming out of Nebraska from some of their players, especially that linebacker, kind of, to me, feels like the way that Colorado State plays before they play Colorado, which I don't even think Colorado State fans would try to deny the fact that game means more to them than it does to us. But for the longest time, that was the role that we played in this rivalry.
Yes.
Which was, like, this is our, we got to get this one. This is the number one team at the top of our target. I still think that they hold that position for us and for Colorado fans, but there has been a shift to where now, having lost 3 in a row, having a losing record since Colorado ended Nebraska's program November 23rd, 2001, they now are the ones who are kind of barking. And I find that to be incredibly satisfying.
It's great, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is really great.
I mean, you don't really have to say anything. You just mention Nebraska, and they show up sometimes. Yesterday's show was a big example of it.
Well, and absolutely. And it would be also just ignorant to not acknowledge the fact that Coach Prime being there
Of course.
Absolutely being here, I should say, absolutely, grinds their gears even a little more. There was remember that column we read at some point in the offseason that was like, I think I have a screenshot of it so I can go look for it in a second, but it was something along the lines of like, Coach Prime seems like he was designed to offend the senses of humble Nebraskans, which is just like, give me a break. Yeah. I'm trying. So yeah, I mean, it's all of that has come together to where like Nebraska fans are that meme where they're just like, veins are popping out of their necks thinking about this game, and I just love it.
I think another aspect of that though has to be that this is the last game in this series for quite a while. And as you mentioned, the Buffs have beaten Nebraska the last 3 times. So this is the last chance. Like, it's already, 5,000 some days right now? Like, you stand a risk of that potentially doubling or something like that. I mean, it's going to be, if Colorado wins this game, we are going to have that, and it's going to be hanging over Nebraska fans' head for years and years and years. Like, we'll be in the 2030s probably the next time this game gets played at this point.
Absolutely. I wish I had the link. I just have the screenshots, but this is just classic right here. I think I remember the headline being something along the lines of like, Colorado-Nebraska game will be like a turning point for Nebraska to see if they can prove that they've cleared some threshold or whatever. And here's what the writer says. I'll own it. I don't care for Coach Sanders and refuse to refer to him by his marketing nickname. During his playing days, I found his brand of brash bravado off-putting. In my opinion, hasn't changed since he's been a head coach. Sanders is a 21st century version of Barry Switzer, a brash and cocky SOB who is the antithesis of the quiet and humble Nebraskan sensibilities. He seems custom made to annoy Husker fans, and that's before he appears in every sideline shot and commercial break.
Oh, they are seething right now.
Truly.
I love it, man.
It fuels me. It gets me out of bed every morning thinking about it.
Do you think that we see this game or this series, I guess, being renewed? Obviously, it's not going to be at a rate it was because they're not in the same conference, but non-conference slate.
I unfortunately do not think that that's going to happen anytime soon, and that's not necessarily anyone's fault, I don't think. Mm-hmm. I think that if given the opportunity, Colorado and Nebraska would renew this series with 4 more games as soon as they possibly could, because both sides have benefited from it. And if you go look right now at like just the aftermarket ticket sales for this game compared to any other Nebraska game,
yeah,
because I know their fans, they do show up for those games, but it's like off the charts different. Like we were looking for a place to park the RV closer to the stadium, and they were like, oh man, that's been sold out for months.
Yeah.
It's never been like this, they said when we talked to them. So like, both programs are benefiting from this game. And both programs also schedule their schedules way out. Mm-hmm. I saw people talking about this the other day about North Dakota State, and they're like, why did Coach Prime schedule this game? And it's like, well, no, that's not how this works. These things are done sometimes 10 years in advance, yes. A lot of times 6 to 8, at the least 6, really. So both teams are pretty jammed up. Maybe they could move some things around and cut off some games with other people, whatever. But what I do think is going to happen is that Colorado and Nebraska will be back in the same conference.
Ooh.
Before they would be able to get a new renewal of the rivalry, and that will thus renew the rivalry. I do not think that we're about to like hit a stale point when it comes to conference realignment in college football.
Yeah.
And I think all of this is just building to a massive breaking point where essentially the NCAA and the conferences all just falls to shit. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing kind of gets built back up from scratch.
Yeah.
With the those who are in and those who are out. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, I think we will get a renewal. And I'll put the over-under on that actually happening at 5.5 years.
So 2029, the Buffs do have an opening in their non-conference. They've got Florida coming to Folsom Field, and then they are at Colorado State in 29. So it'd be potentially back-to-back rivalry weeks again if they do it.
And I saw, I think it was the CU Barstool account put out like Nebraska in week 2 and CSU in week 3 should be like stamped into Colorado's schedule forever. No. I am not a someone who's like trying to shut down the Rocky Mountain Showdown. I think it's a fun game. I enjoy the in-state rivalry aspect of it. I also understand the CU fans who say that CU doesn't really have anything to gain from it. I find that to be true. But I also am just a college football fan who loves rivalries.
Right.
And so I like it. If anything, I would say let's alternate. Mm-hmm. If I had it my way and it was a perfect world, every other year you have one of these two teams in your non-conference schedule. I had someone, or maybe someone was in our YouTube comments and said I played for Colorado, and I remember the emotion that I dumped into both the CSU and the Nebraska game, but they were on bookends of the season for me. Usually the first and last game of the year is like, he said, I could not imagine having to play those games back to back. And so for me, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the week, but like, I don't like doing that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can't even think of another program in the country that would run into a situation like that. It's obviously weird because Colorado's two biggest rivals aren't in their conference.
Exactly.
So I don't know how many other schools are doing that. It would be like, I don't even know, like BYU or whatever. Because I was trying to think like who are the
well,
it'd be like USC playing Notre Dame and UCLA back to back. Obviously, CSU is not up to the caliber of either of those
There's
schools.
Stanford in there too because they're not in the same conference as USC.
Yeah,
anymore.
so it's an odd scenario that CU has, but I definitely don't want to do it back to back every year.
Yeah, no, we talked about how taxing that was, and it just feels different. And we'll get to practice right now because Jimmy Horn spoke again. He did the same last year, and he sounded a little different talking about this game as well. Shout out to our friends over at Game Time. This game, you got to go to Game Time basically to get in the door. Same with next week for Colorado State. If you want to go to either of these games, hit up our friends over at Game Time. Create an account and sign up with the code BUFFS, BUFFS. That'll give you $20 off your first purchase. Lots of sold-out games, of course, when it comes to Coach Prime in Colorado. So make sure you check out our friends at Game Time. You can check out the Game Time picks on their app now, so you can look at the view from the seat, find the cheapest ticket, their hottest deals, all kinds of stuff. Game Time, best in the business. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code BUFFS, BUFFS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BUFFS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. I'm looking at this right now. You can get tickets in row 31 in the end zone. Hot, like a flash deal right now on Game Time picks for $340. That's
$320 when you sign up with promo code BUFFS.
There you go. And then like they've got a get-in price here of $240. But just to underline what I was saying earlier, next week against UNI, get-in price of $77.
Yeah.
So big gap there. Also, shout out to our friends over at Breck Brew. I love having those Breck Brews on the table, and they've just been there the whole time, you know. It's a beautiful thing. Those are delicious, and as we hop on the bus to head to Lincoln, you better believe we're going to load it up with some Breck Brews. And you just got to love it. It's football season, Avalanche, Amherst.
NFL starts tonight.
NFL starts tonight. So come by the DNVR bar, enjoy a Breck Brew here. But Breck Brew, they have been a long time supporter of DNVR. You know, I was just talking about how Colorado has these big NIL deals, and I was like, is anyone else getting these? And it kind of reminded me of Breck Brew. When we got the Breck Brew deal at DNVR, I was like, oh, shit. Like, real brands are taking notice now. So shout out to Breck Brew. They have truly supported us for a very long time, and we love them.
All right, let's go to practice. Jimmy's first. Again, he spoke on the podium this time last year ahead of Nebraska week. You know, he was one of the players. I mean, he was only one of a few players we talked to, but he was talking about that. You know, Shedeur kind of talked about it too, how, you know, we just don't like them. Like, that's just all they knew back then. We just don't like them. I just know that. But it's definitely a different feel. So let's get to Jimmy here. Just talking about his second game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Jimmy, it's your second time now in this rivalry. Does it feel more like a big-time rivalry game now that you've kind of been through it once?
Yeah, it do. I ain't gonna lie, I done watched a couple of their interviews and stuff, so like I'm on that timing. Like my receiver room, we on that timing. So like we know what time it is for real.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm on that timing.
He knows what time it is? Game time?
He does, yeah.
No, man. I've said this a million times, but I swear to God I could listen to Jimmy talk an unlimited amount. I wish he had a podcast.
Yeah, he's great, man.
I would listen to it every time, but he has a look in his eyes.
He does. Yes, he does.
For real. And I love that. And I think part of that is the rivalry. I think part of that is just how locked in he is right now.
Yep.
Feels confident. Feels like the work that he put in the offseason has really paid off, and he just looks like a man on a mission.
And as Coach Prime said, he plays with a burden because of his father, and just that whole process. Jimmy was asked about that today and kind of gave an update on what his father's going through and the latest that he's heard.
Hey Jimmy, what did last week mean to you and your father? Did you have a chance to talk to him about it and just kind of talk about the game a little bit?
Yeah, I talked to him. I was able to talk to him, but that he just got shipped off. He about to get shipped off to the prison, So that was my last time talking to him before. So, I just got to go even harder, you feel me? And it just felt good to talk to him, that just pushes me even more. It's a lot of adversity that going through life. You just got to keep thriving and pushing through it. Like that game there, that's a career high game for me. And I ain't going to let that get to them. Just keep going, keep grinding. I'm hungry, for real.
And with that, what does it mean to you to have Coach Prime behind you so much in this regard? Like just having his arm around you through all this?
That mean a lot, man. He just another good father figure, you feel me? I ain't gonna say good, a great father figure, So like that's a lot to me. That mean a lot to me just to have him having my back, and then the people around too, like the coaching staff and stuff like that.
I'm hungry for real, man.
Let's go.
You can just sense it right there, can't you?
Yeah, you really can. He's just dialed. He's completely dialed in. And I love this comment from Wayne, which has locked in, and also J5 seeing his guy make the Cardinals puts it into perspective. It can be done. Jimmy's on a mission now. I won't get into the details of it because it breaks my heart to talk about. But I once did a long interview with Steve Atwater about his life story. And one of the things that I remember vividly is he said, I knew I was good at football, and then I felt I was better than a senior on our team when I was a sophomore. And then that guy got drafted in the first round. And I thought to myself, oh, this could get really real for me.
Yep.
And this is a slightly different story here, but there is something to be said of like, all right, I worked with Zay every single day. I know the work that he put in. I know what it takes. And now he's in the league. He's got a jersey. He made the 53-man roster. Now I just got to put my head down and beeline to that moment, And so there is something to be said about putting that into perspective. There's something real there about the approach and the attack that he's taking on this season. And it's funny because there was a lot of talk about Jimmy or LeJohntay, and those two immediately hit it off, and I think have only made each other better, working together, competing for sure. But even then, I wish I don't have the numbers on what percentage of snaps they came out in 4 wide, but like again, it's not necessarily taking snaps away from each other, but competing just the way that competitors do when there's another guy that plays a similar position to you.
Yep. I asked Jimmy about Zay today, and just what it was like watching him. He said it's been amazing just to see the grind that my brother put in the work, and to get where he's at. Zay is that guy for real. Just to see him in that position, I love to see it.
Quickly want to go back to Jimmy saying he saw their press conferences. That's what That's kind of what I was referencing earlier. Is like I feel like I remember that happening the other way around in the past.
Yes.
It's like Colorado is the team going up on the podium and kind of barking, we hate Nebraska, we're going to do this, that, the other thing. And this feels the opposite. You know, you've got Nebraska saying, oh, don't compare Dylan to Shedeur. It's like, now that I've heard that more than when we just saw it live, I'm like, you're right, please don't. Because Shedeur's better.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're the one who, like, gets to listen and then create your kind of narrative and your motivations off of that rather than you're the one barking up the tree.
Right.
Oh, it's a different position to be in. And I love just him saying, like, yeah, I heard that. We're on that timing now.
Yep. He also said on the rivalry week, this year I can tell our team has taken the rivalry real seriously. There's a lot of history behind it, but we've just got to rep that CU logo.
Love it.
Good stuff. J. Phil was also on the podium.
Hold on. One more thing about Jimmy here.
Yeah.
He has a real chance now to become a household name
Definitely.
this week.
Yeah.
You know, all of like the ball knowers and people who just love football watched last week and said, oh, this guy's moving different. Now the whole world is going to be watching. I think a lot of the world was watching last week, but now the whole world's going to be watching. And I think there is something to be said about Nebraska. Will probably be pretty focused on not allowing him to go out and do what he did, but he can hurt them in other ways. He can, you know, catch passes at or near the line of scrimmage and make big plays, slants to the house, whatever it may be. You go back off 196 and put up another big one. Now people are going to start saying like your heroes' names when they talk about you.
Yep.
You know, Deshaun Jackson or whatever it may be.
Yep.
Like they're going to start saying, hey, this guy's a legit NFL speed threat.
Yeah. Legit chance to be like the fastest guy at the combine type of stuff too.
And he got faster.
He did.
We
definitely.
talked. I think we talked about after the during the postgame show about how Shedeur and Travis both like leveled up. I can't remember if we said Jimmy. Jimmy absolutely leveled up. He's
100%.
faster, stronger, looks cleaner in his routes, everything.
Coach J. Phil was next. He was quick today. He caught some of the media off guard.
What do you mean? Oh, quick to the podium?
They were quick to the podium today, yeah.
You were there, though.
I was there. I got it, man. Don't worry. But this is Coach J. Phil on let's do playing at Memorial Stadium and just the atmosphere that the Buffs are going into this weekend.
Obviously, Memorial Stadium and their fans are going to be loud. They're going to be booing. They're going to be, you know, bringing all that energy for their team. How did Buffs overcome, you know, that away disadvantage?
Embrace it. I mean, that's the only thing you can do as a player. I mean, speaking from a former player myself, you embrace that. You go into that situation, anticipate the crowd noise, anticipate the heckling, and obviously, if it, you know, the thing that I'm preaching to my guys when I play the game, it's an opportunity for me to get 100,000 new fans. So I'm gonna embrace it.
We kind of talked about this when Zay, one of the Cardinals writers said something about Zay and how he's like unflappable, right?
Yep.
And that's something I've really noticed about this team is how you go into TCU, unflappable. You go into your first two rivalry games last year, unflappable. We know what kind of happened after that. Things kind of fell apart, but I truly believe the team is ready for this, and they're not going to be fazed by all the pomp and circumstance Nebraska's going to try and throw at them.
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing in these games, and I mean, this is super cliche to say, but it is true, is to throw the first punch. That fan base is going to be loud. They're going to be rabid. They're going to be angry because they're just really angry about Colorado football. You throw the first punch and make them nervous because they're really confident right now.
Yes, they are.
They got to feel some nerves, and if they feel that, they will you can slowly kind of drain the air out of their balloon, if you will. And speaking of balloons,
Yeah, is this where we're going with this?
apparently the University of Nebraska just doesn't care about the environment, dude.
What happened?
They have this tradition of like letting go of balloons when they score a touchdown.
Okay.
I guess it's like their first touchdown or whatever, and they stopped doing it because it's really bad for the environment. And they said they're bringing it back this week, so they've just told the world they don't care about the environment.
They don't care about
they
the
hate
animals out there?
dolphins and turtles. It's crazy, man. You'd think, an institution of higher learning would have some respect for the animals.
Especially one so in tune with the earth and corn and all that stuff.
But I guess it really isn't an institution of higher learning.
What would you call it?
I would call it a couple buildings in the plains.
Last one from practice. I asked Coach Phillips about Raiola Miller and what has impressed him the most about him so far. What's been the most impressive thing you've seen from Raiola Miller since his arrival here?
The fact that he's playing as a true freshman. I think that's the most impressive thing. I mean, there's not a lot of freshmen playing across the country. And his attitude and work ethic and his success at where he's been in high school, he came in as a winner. And he's, obviously that's starting to ooze out here in our meeting room, and the things that he's capable of doing on the field, his talent is getting him some playing time. So just the fact that he's actually playing as a freshman has been the most impressive thing to me.
And we kind of talked about this, I guess, last year with Omarion, right? But Draylen's right from the jump. Like, it's kind of, not to bring him up, sorry, but like Dylan last year, how big of a role he had as a true freshman. You know what I mean? Like, it's that impressive, I think, for what Draylen is doing. And I know it was only 4 touches and stuff, but if you didn't see the flashes in those 4 touches, you're crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, to play as a true freshman is not easy, and you have to show yourself to be a weapon, to do something that others can't do. And, his combination of size, speed, and agility just makes him a person that you got to get the ball in their hands.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break, and then we'll wrap up what J. Phil said at practice. Shout out to our friends over at UC Health. We're here. NFL starts tonight. They've been spending the whole offseason kind of getting their bodies in tip-top shape. But that's something that we should just be doing more in general, right? Eating better, sleeping better, taking personal time. I mean, whatever you have to do to be your best self. And that's what UC Health and Coach Prime want to help you and other Coloradans do, is be your healthiest selves. With Coach Prime as the Chief Motivation Officer of UC Health's Ready, Set, Co Challenge. The goal of the challenge to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state in the country. So if you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Co Challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Co.
Also, a shout out to Toyota. It's going to be hard hitting the road this weekend without my Toyota.
Yeah, you're going to miss it?
Yeah, I'm going to miss it, but I think we'll be in good hands in the RV.
Yep.
I will be taking my Toyota tonight. I'm going to miss the NFL game because I'm taking my Toyota tonight down to where the RV is so I can scoop it up for us.
Oh, man.
But I can't wait. And if I could, I would bring the Toyota right along with us. It's the best car I've ever had. It's reliable. It has great features, especially for a road trip like this one. Just throw that thing in cruise control and,
lane assist, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Lanes, you get a little beep if you're going one way or the other. It's fantastic stuff. So if you want a Toyota like me, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR.
So Coach Phillips, just looking back on the film, he said guys are out there making plays. Obviously, Travis is an exceptional talent and then had a great game along with Jimmy Horn. He did exactly what I expected him to do. He shows to show up on game day and kind of put in the work on game day we've seen in practice all week. It was good output for those guys. He spoke about Jimmy and his approach and his big game. He said Jimmy comes to work every day with the mindset, with a good mindset and approach. The only thing he knows is he gives us his best effort on every day. It's been joyful to coach him on and off the field. He's a great kid. Just a pleasure to be around. All of these are up on our YouTube channel if you want to go watch them in full.
After this, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Jimmy and Coach Phillips. Some news and notes and stuff. Shout out to Travis getting another massive NIL deal, man. United Airlines?
United Airlines, man. I mean, look at this list now. United Airlines, I'm just talking not just Travis, but Buffs. United Airlines, Nike, Mercedes, Gatorade, KFC, Google, Celsius. Like, the list just goes on and on and on of crazy deals. And I tweeted out, I was just like, are other players getting stuff like this? And the list is very small. Like someone pointed out, like Quinn Ewers is in a Dr. Pepper commercial.
Dr. Pepper's been doing it for like one athlete. Remember Bryce Young did it and stuff?
Yep,
like,
I think Caleb did it.
Yep.
But the list of players who are getting deals like this is so small. Real deals. And I love that Bucky brought it up to Juju on the on Shedeur's podcast. He said they were asking him about what his dream car was or whatever, dream NIL deal, and he said like Lamborghini. And Bucky's like, I mean, you're talking to a guy who has a Mercedes NIL deal right here, like the real Mercedes, not like a dealership down the street. I forget what he said. He's like, we're talking like in Germany.
Right. Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep. The Mercedes like actual account and stuff is like what it's all associated with. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
Some more news and notes. The Big 12 is pausing expansion discussions with UConn. This is a quote from Commissioner Yormark today. As commissioner, it is my responsibility to explore a variety of value-creating opportunities on behalf of the Big 12. Following detailed discussions with my conference colleagues alongside UConn leadership, we have jointly decided to pause our conversations at this time. We will instead focus our attention and resources to ushering in this new era of college athletics. So, at least for right now, Big 12 expansion has been tabled. We'll see what happens once we get to the offseason, but we know this is going to be a big offseason to change with the revenue sharing and all that stuff. Transfer portal changes. They're changing the windows too. So I kind of like this, and frankly, I don't think UConn was adding much anyway. So,
yeah, I don't know. I thought about UConn for a minute, and I was like, it would be nice to have a doormat in the football conference.
Yeah.
But man, I don't think this basketball conference can get any better.
I mean,
like
it just becomes a murderer's row.
That's exactly what I mean. Is like you're gonna end up killing each other in the regular season. It's already gonna be, I think, the best college basketball conference, maybe not named the Big East ever.
Yes. So we'll see what happens moving forward. You want to make some picks, man?
I love picks.
It's time. We actually have a decent slate of Big 12 games this weekend.
Are you giving me straight up or against the spread?
No, we got numbers here.
All right, good.
First one, this is tomorrow night. There's an NFL game tomorrow night, but there's also this one. And it is BYU traveling to Texas. They're taking on SMU. SMU's already played 2 games. They beat Nevada, and they beat Houston Christian. SMU minus 11.5 at home. Who are you taking?
Whoa. That's a lot of points.
You saw them in week 0 against Nevada, too, and they were struggling for a bit.
Yeah, give me the points.
I'm going to take SMU, I think.
Okay.
I think they just needed some time to get rolling. Next one, this is a pretty big one in terms of strength of schedule and just standing for the Big 12. Arkansas at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State pulled out the win last week over South Dakota State quite easily, really. Ollie Gordon had over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. Arkansas beat the hell out of someone, 70-0. Arkansas Pine Bluff. On the line, the Cowboys favored by 8. They are at home. Arkansas has Taylon Green at quarterback, former Boise State quarterback. Big, athletic, can run.
Give me Oklahoma State. I thought they looked like the best team in the Big 12 in week 1.
Really?
Yep.
All
I
right.
mean, I thought they looked the best. Like, I think they won by 22 in that game against South Dakota State, but like South Dakota State, that spread was closer than Colorado and NDSU. South Dakota State was the favorites to win. I'm curious to see if that's still the case in the FCS. But I thought South Dakota State was going to give them a real game, and Oklahoma State was in control the whole time. I'm probably forgetting someone when I say that. Who had the biggest win in the Big 12? Just like
everyone won in the Big 12 last weekend too. I don't know if we mentioned that.
There was another team that beat.
I think UCF
Power 5 team.
Power 5.
Power 4.
I can't remember right now. I'll go check for you here in a second.
Anyways, I thought they looked great.
I'll take Oklahoma State as well. Alan Bowman, actually, 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did not throw a pick.
Yeah. He kind of was making it look easy out there.
Kansas State. Dylan scored a touchdown in their first game. They also played UT Martin, an FCS team. They won quite easily, 41-6. They are traveling to Louisiana, Tulane, in the non-conference game. K-State favored by 9 on the road.
That's an early game, too?
This is a 10 a.m. game, yeah.
Give me Tulane at home with the points.
I'm going to take K-State, I think. I just don't think Tulane's going to be as good this year after losing Willie Fritz and a lot of their players.
Okay, fair.
This is actually a Big 12 game, but this is one of those weird, because it was already scheduled and the conference realignment stuff happened, this is counted as non-conference.
Mm-hmm.
But Baylor is traveling to Utah this week, and Cam Rising looked like Cam Rising in week 1. They played Southern Utah, beat him like 49-0, but Cam had 254 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Utes are favored by 14.5 at home.
Give me Utah.
I think Utah rolls as well. They are still the 11th ranked team in the country. Little rivalry game action here. Iowa State, Iowa. Is there a name for this game at all?
There's got to be.
But it's in Kinnick Stadium. The Hawkeyes are at home. They are 3-point favorites. Iowa State, I heard some people kind of maybe taking a little bit of shots at Rocco Becht last week. So we'll see how that goes. But Iowa's got, I mean, they scored 40, I think, last weekend. But you know how it goes with them.
Yeah. Give me Iowa. That defense is nasty, and I think they're going to make Rocco's modern life a living hell.
I agree. Iowa looks pretty good. I will take the Hawkeyes as well.
Did you understand that reference?
Yeah, Rocco's
right.
Of course, man.
Just making sure.
Yeah, that's one of the gems from back in the day.
All right. No, just making sure.
No, I know that one.
We were talking about this is Spinal Tap upstairs, and not
I knew
everyone.
that.
I know you did, but not everyone did.
Yeah, great movie.
Unbelievable movie.
We can do a few more if you want.
Real quick, Robert asked, why is that a non-conference game? Because it was scheduled as a non-conference game, and so rather than both teams just backing out and going and finding another non-conference game, they allow them to play it but not count towards their conference schedule, because if they did, then they would have 10 conference games, which would just mess up everything.
Yeah, so next weekend, Arizona is going to play Kansas State in a similar situation.
I don't understand why probably because they've already played one half of the home and home.
I think that's what it is, yes. Because last year, Baylor did play Utah. I remember that for sure.
Okay. Exile says it's called the Cy-Hawk rivalry, which is pretty lame. By the way, it's kind of weird that Nebraska Colorado doesn't have a name.
It is. Texas Tech is going on the road all the way up to Pullman. The Cougars are actually 2.5-point favorites in this game. Texas Tech was in a battle with Abilene Christian last week.
They should have lost. Did you see the end of the game?
Yes.
I mean, wide open receiver in the back of the end zone, but the quarterback just takes his eyes off because he thinks he's going to have to scramble, and so he doesn't see him come right across his face. Pause. But I actually think that was just a classic week 1 stumble, and I think Texas Tech wins this game.
I think so.
I guess I'm getting plus 2.5 here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pullman is a very tough place to play, but it's not really, fall time, the mist is in the air type of thing. So, and they've lost a lot. I'll take Texas Tech as well. They just have more talent. This will be an interesting one. Another kind of statement game for the Big 12 too. Mississippi State, the Bulldogs, traveling to Tempe to take on Arizona State. And guess who's favored? The Sun Devils by 5.5 over an SEC team.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to best win, you have to think about Arizona State
impressive.
shutting out Wyoming. I think they finished off the shutout. That being said, I think I don't even know what you would call it, honeymoon for this team, the 1-game honeymoon where everyone's kind of back in, comes to an end this week. I think Mississippi State goes in there and gets the dub.
I think so as well. Mississippi State money line might be a hot one too. It's going to be 103 in Tempe at kickoff at 8:30. What are you laughing at?
Someone said ISU Iowa instead of El Clasico is El Asico.
Well, let me get a line for the over-under on that game. 35.5.
Wow. Matt's early in the season. Usually Iowa's over-unders just go down as the season goes on.
Since Artemis mentioned it, big game of the weekend, though, is Texas at Michigan. Texas 7, I think, point favorites, maybe 7.5 on the road to the Big House. Your thoughts?
I hate to do this to you.
Look, man, I picked
Texas in a rout.
I picked Texas as well in the draft pod earlier.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned about Michigan and the fact that they threw out Davis Warren, a walk-on quarterback over Alex Orji last week.
So did they bench Orji?
No, they played Orji. He just didn't start. But Orji only threw 3 passes, and the passes didn't look good.
So wait, he didn't start?
No, but he played.
Oh my God! Yeah, they're in trouble.
It's literally like the same role he was playing last year when JJ was quarterback.
Also, did you see Sharon Moore doesn't have a contract?
Really?
He hasn't signed a contract as the head coach of the university yet.
What is going on over there? All right, let's hit our final break. You can find all these lines over at our friends over at Bet365. And sign up with the code DNVR365 to cash in on the bet and get offer. All you need to do is deposit $10, then place a bet of $5 or more. You can place any $5 bet on tonight's game if you sign up with that code. The Chiefs and Ravens are playing. I don't know who's favored in that game or not.
It is
Chiefs, I'd imagine.
Well, I'll get it for you.
They're
right
at
now.
home. But either way, place a bet on that game.
Chiefs -3.
So there you go. Pick a bet on that game. As soon as that game is over, you'll get $200 in bonus bets directly into your account. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And also, a shout out to our friends at Z-Biotic, who will be keeping us
Alive
and energized on our road trips and our home games this season. Vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunion. There's so much going on, but you can get the most out of your plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol. What you do is you get your Z-Biotics, a little packet, mix it in with some water. You drink that before you go out and have yourself a night, and then you don't feel so bad the next day. In fact, you can feel great if you play your cards right. So go to zbiotics.com/DNVRBuffs to get 15% off your first order when you use the code DNVRBuffs at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Again, go to zbiotics.com/DNVRBuffs and use the code DNVRBuffs at checkout for 15% off.
All right, we've got a lot of time today, so get your questions in the chat, and let's get to them. Who is up first? Artemis, what's up, man? Why does the national media think Saturday will be different than last year? That's honestly a great question because it's crazy how, I mean, the line is insane. Just the national discourse and analysis is all, Nebraska might roll here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to this question, I guess, in the simplest form is that Nebraska's upgraded at quarterback for sure. They've got, a couple weapons for that quarterback. And I mean, I guess that's it. And it's a home game for them. So that colors this. But at the same time, I'm not going to name them by name, but I saw someone say, who is Colorado beat to make us think they can go walk in and beat Nebraska? I was like, I don't know, maybe Nebraska?
Right.
Seems like a good place to start.
Also, we're in week 2, bro.
I know.
Like, there's one game on the schedule so far. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, no, I the more I see this, the more I realize you truly can't speak on this unless you understand where Colorado was before Coach Prime got there.
Exactly.
And so there's some wild stuff being said out there. I do think it's going to be a good game. And as you know, good games, one bounce one way or the other is going to, determine how things shake out. But I think that people, I don't even think this, I know this. College football media craves Nebraska being good.
They do, yeah.
There are zero things to do in the state of Nebraska other than stand Nebraska football. So there's, a whole state of people, despite how small the population is, that follow college football content. And so when Nebraska is good, they're watching College Game Day and they're tuning in for the podcasts and, the recruiting sites and all of that. So all of the media people are craving Nebraska to be good. And so when they get a glimmer of hope like they did last week, they just want to lean into it, and feel that. And I mean, it's happened forever. It took many years before they stopped putting Nebraska in the top 25 of the preseason rankings. It took several years of them sucking before finally they were like, okay, we can't keep putting them in there and letting them go 5-7.
Right. Yep. That's a great point, how they're just like a brand that people just kind of campaign for. The U is like that too, where they're down and everyone's like, oh.
Texas before they got to where they are right now.
Absolutely. Michigan, even 10, 15 years ago when they were bad, like same thing. So good question, Artemis. Jay, RK, do you think Travis will have to choose between wide receiver or cornerback money? How about wide receiver and cornerback money? If I was his agent, that's where the talks would start because he is best at both spots. What's the total?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was clear about this yesterday. I am 100% on on board with the fact that Travis should be able to play both spots in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you know, you hear people like Champ Bailey, by the way, literally a childhood hero of mine. I love Champ Bailey.
Yep.
But he said like, nah, you just can't do it. You just can't do it. I just don't think that people understand Travis Hunter.
Right.
Like, he's not like the rest of us.
No, he's not.
He's a whole different, beast.
He's the top 0.001% of 0.001% athletes.
Yes. And so people are coloring you're using their own experience to color their opinion on what they think can be done. And Travis Hunter just transcends that entirely.
Exactly.
So I've always said that an NFL team would be stupid to take Travis Hunter and try and pigeonhole him to one side of the ball. What yesterday's conversation is if they're going to make him decide, if he gets this feedback before that says, hey, look, the teams at the top of the draft, they want to know, or they want you to be this, or they want you to be that, and that's where they're looking at you, and they, maybe you're going to get a couple plays here or there. Like, my whole thing was, okay, well, if he's forced to choose, which he should not be, then he should choose wide receiver, because the ceiling for the earnings that he can make to make generational money for himself and his family moving forward is the ceiling is much higher at wide receiver.
I didn't get a chance to catch the coach's show today, but I saw Coach Prime was kind of talking about that, and he kind of said, like, you kind of have to have like a package for whatever side that he's not like primarily playing. Like, you can't just not have him out there at corner or wide receiver if you have him at the other full time.
100%. And I think the one that's going to make things difficult is it's really easy for people to imagine, okay, you're a full-time corner who has a part-time package on offense. I think people are having a hard time figuring out how that would work the other way around. Because I don't think that's really been done.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see if they do decide that he's going to go on offense primarily, even if it's 60-40 or whatever. Like, how do they figure out what and when to use him on defense?
Yep.
But thinking inside of a box like that is one of the biggest problems I have with professional sports. It's just like, this is just kind of the way we've always done it. You're just like, you're not the first two-way player. Like, you're just going to have to pick a side. It's like you are just missing the point here. I
just hope whoever drafts him, one, for him, but also they just draft him and say, or they look at their team and how it's constructed, and they just go, how can Travis help on both sides at this point? Not just say, we want you here on this side.
Yeah.
Because I do think he needs to play both.
Definitely.
Good Time Chaser says, what's the over and under on rushing yards this week? What do you want? What would you set that at? For the Buffs, like 75.5?
I was going to say like somewhere between 80 and 100. It'd be interesting. There should be some room to get to the second level.
I think so. On the Nebraska side, I don't know, 120-ish?
Sure.
Big Teasy, do you feel any concern of the 2 6'4" wide receivers for the Corn? We talked about the guy I think we should be concerned about yesterday, and that was Nair, right?
Yeah. And if he's matched up with Travis, I have zero concerns.
No. What's up, Ivan? Will Travis Hunter have a more impactful game on offense or defense this week? Interesting question.
Offense.
Yeah.
It's really hard to match production on the defensive side of the ball when they're not going to give him as many opportunities as you can control when you're on offense.
Right.
By the way, not that you would have used one against North Dakota State, but I'm still hoping for
Trick play? That would hit.
Yeah.
Scotty, do you guys see Kam Mikell getting touches? I don't think we're going to see Kam this weekend.
Okay.
HUD, which position battle is the X factor for the game? It's hard to just not say trenches, honestly.
Yeah, but I'll get more specific than that and say Colorado's defensive line versus Nebraska's offensive line. If they can, one, stop the run, which I'm confident they can do, and two, create pressure on Dylan Raiola, which I'm hopeful they can do, I believe Colorado will win this game. And if they do both of those things at a proficient level, I think Colorado can win by multiple scores.
Definitely. Girls Club asks, can we get a tour of the RV during the road trip? Of course.
Absolutely.
RG is going to be with us. You're going to get tons of great videos.
Yeah, you might be sick of us.
Yeah.
We're going to try to give you guys a lot of content. We are getting in the RV at 6 a.m. tomorrow, setting sail. We're not going to be live the entire time, but we will be live at some point on the road, give you guys an update, take you along with us.
And a pregame show tomorrow.
And then once we get to Lincoln, we'll have the pregame show.
Yep.
So you guys are getting a super dose of DNVR Buffs.
Yeah,
this
you're going to
weekend.
get a ton of content from now until Sunday morning, basically. K. Miller asks, who do you think will have a breakout game against Nebraska? Is it too early to say Draylon?
Wow, that would be a big call.
I'll go one of the backs, Dallin Hayden, then.
Hey, I mean, I was on board with you with you saying Draylon.
I kind of asked you, but that's kind of where I think it's a little too early for it still.
All right, I will say the breakout game goes to BJ Green.
Ooh, that's another good one. Hell yeah.
Is that two?
No.
Okay.
Martin, do you guys think Dylan playing at 4 different high schools has given him experience for this game? Maybe.
What would the comp be for it? Like, why would the 4 different high schools help him with this?
I mean, level of competition. I mean, different styles, I guess. I don't know.
No, but I do think it'll help him with his transition when he transfers to Georgia next year.
I think it's helped him kind of just be who he is so far and be that freshman quarterback, week 1 type of thing. I think that's what it could have helped him with, if anything.
For sure.
What's up, Jacob? What can I expect from Nebraska fans in person? See all this weekend. Go. See this weekend, man.
I'll be honest, and I don't know if this is going to change this time. In my previous experiences, they've been generally very nice in person. I don't think it's going to be like that this time, but we'll see. Sometimes you spend enough time on the internet, it changes your view of the real world, and then the real world happens, and you're like, oh, right, it's not like that.
Yep.
But we'll see.
And then just a couple super chats. Charlie Moe with the $5 super chat says Nebraska ain't nice. Thumbs down. Corn. See you 38-24.
Let's go, Charlie.
Big Teasy in the house. Wouldn't it be advantageous to draft Travis for both positions so they could have additional roster spots? Go Buffs. I think that's one of the advantages of having him on your team.
I mean, it absolutely is if you play it right.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, like, could Travis negotiate a contract that pays him for playing both positions?
Right.
So, I mean, all of that will be very interesting to follow, and I'm glad we have many more games of him as a Colorado Buffalo before we have to worry about that.
Yes, definitely. Salo says, how good is Trevor at linebacker in your opinion? I mean, he had the rough play, but he did end up with 9 tackles. I think this will be a big test in how far Trevor has come on Saturday against Nebraska, because it's kind of a test of both, really. I mean, you have a guy who's very confident in his arm, who's not afraid to go downfield, and they're going to run the rock. So
yep. Yeah, I mean, Trevor didn't quite look comfortable playing at that weight to me yet.
He did look heavy-footed a bit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, especially on that one bad play, and you don't want to judge a guy on one bad play, but it didn't look like he was playing fast in that moment. At the same time, I thought he did a really good job against the run, and that's why you wanted Trevor Woods at linebacker in the first place, is for, fitting gaps.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a pretty darn good job of that. The other thing is, like, when the other linebackers came in, I didn't notice any sort of uptick. And maybe we went the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can all agree that we'd love to see Trevor go out there and really ball this week.
Yep. And finally, a super chat from the GOAT, Laura. Go Buffs. That's all. That's the super chat. Thank you, Laura.
Hell yeah.
We'll see you soon. That's it. It's the last show from here for a minute.
Yeah.
Tuesday,
huh?
Or, well, maybe Monday. We'll see.
We got plenty more shows to figure that out between now and then. Can't wait. Tomorrow's going to be a hell of a day and the kickoff of a hell of a weekend. By the way, I believe we have like 15-ish tickets left.
Yes.
For the tailgate in Lincoln. So if you're looking to come to that, it's all inclusive, includes your food and your drinks. Should be a big party. Looking forward to it.
See you out there. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.